Good evening, everyone. I'm Hex Tandon. As you may recall, the last time I did an on-air hangout like this, I was in London. So it's nice to be back home and stateside with you all, even though I do miss the accent. Every once in a while, I just start talking like this, and I feel like I'm in London, so it's the best of both worlds, so it's all good. Tonight I am so excited to have a special guest. We're just trying to get her hooked into the hangout, so she should be with us momentarily. But the special guest is Miss Sincerely Syreeta Martin, and what I love about her is her passion and her purpose. And it's so aligned with everything that I talk about, that I advocate for, which is positivity, living an authentic life, having a sense of purpose, and of course being sincere about the way you do it. And that word sincere really does drive the point home. Sincerity means that you're true to yourself, and that you're true to your process, and you're true to who you want to be out there in the world. And the best way that I know to do that is to meditate, is to have a daily meditation practice where you start to tune in to who you really are. There's a lot of noise out there in the world. There are a lot of distractions, as we all know, especially in this world of technology and gadgetry and social media. It is so easy to be distracted, and beyond even a lack of focus, which is one of the main reasons why mindfulness and meditation are so helpful and key, is that we start to lose our sense of self, our own sense of who we really are, and who we really are at our essential core. Our love beings, are beings that thrive on giving love as much as receiving love, are beings that gravitate to service. There's so much research out there that spells this out so clearly. That it's in giving that we receive, and it's not receiving in a material sense. It's receiving our sense of well-being and happiness. It's really a product of giving. Ovid said that the greatest human need is to give love. So think about that. It's not to receive love, it's to give love. We have this innate human need to give love. And yet we live in this society where we lose our sense of that fundamental truth, and we chase a reality that's actually an illusion. And that illusion is that material goods will buy us happiness, that if we just get the next job and climb the ladder a little bit higher, that's going to spell accomplishment or happiness. And this is all the illusion, because in point of fact, when all is said and done, the research shows that it doesn't work. And so what does work? And that's the main reason why I do these meetups. That's the main reason I teach mindfulness and positive psychology, and that I continue to study higher realms of consciousness and spirituality. Because at the end of the day, if the research is showing that those are not the things that make us happy, what are? And so it's very important to have a daily meditation practice incorporated into your life, into your routine, in order to start shutting out some of that noise, some of those voices that may say, you should do this. Success means that you should be that. We see a lot of images in the media on what beauty is, on what love is. Love is a big fat diamond ring. Love is a big car, a fancy car, a big house. And we've lost our sense of what we're really about. And so that's the main reason why, I'm holding these meetups and trying to teach people how to start to do that kind of attunement. So having said that, I think we're still trying to get Miss Syreeta. So if you'll all bear with me for just a second, I'm going to try to hook her back in. The benefits and bane of technology, as you can see. All right, let's see if that works. In the meantime, let us get started tonight with a meditation practice. And tonight we're going to start off, as I almost always do, with a gratitude meditation. I like that I just used those. Gratitation. I'm going to start using that. So it's a gratitation, which is a gratitude meditation. And the reason that this is so important as a meditation is because we need to consistently stay mindful of all of the gifts that we have in our lives, and there are so many. At its very simplest, just the fact that we're breathing, and we continue to breathe means we're alive, and being alive means that we can continue to experience this human experience. You might have heard that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and that's what it's about. It's about being in this body and taking another breath so that you continue to have that experience. And we take that so for granted. Fundamentally, we lose our sense of the fact that just breathing is the miracle in and of itself. And so, that's a baseline. And there are so many other things that we all have to be grateful for, indeed. And this is a big reason why I do this meditation and why I'd like to start with it tonight. Again, speaking of the science and research, as you know, I'm a wellness coach and a positive psychology expert. So I have done a great deal of study in this realm, in this domain. And one of the things that I have learned through positive psychology in particular is that the gratitude exercise, the meditation we're about to do, is one of the most highly impactful interventions that we have to affect positive change in our lives, to guide ourselves to well-being, to flourishing. And the reason is because it does just reframe our perspective. If we're beings that often sink in negative thought patterns, in fear-based thinking, there's a reason why. It's a scientific reason. It's evolutionary. And that reason is because, over thousands of years of our evolution, we have layered on top of a very simple brain, which is called the reptilian brain, right? So at some point in our evolution, as we were evolving, we evolved from amphibians, reptiles. And it's called the reptilian brain because it's a very simple mechanism. It's really just, do I sense fear in my environment? And if I do, I'm either going to run or I'm going to fight. It's called fight or flight, right? Simple mechanism for survival. Well, in our world of today, in this environment that we currently live in, it's not just about, where's the threat in my environment and let me run from it. It's a lot more complicated than that, and it's a lot more simple. We aren't consistently evading predators, tigers, lions, when we were reptiles, whatever else it was that was trying to eat us, capture us. Our very survival was threatened. So we had these mechanisms in place to handle it. We have evolved now beyond having to look over our shoulders all the time. In general, there might be still some people who have that threat. But in general, it's not a part of our environment, especially when you live in sort of the concrete jungle in a city. And so we have to learn how to start reframing our perspective back out of this fear-based thinking, the negative thinking, where the threats are in our environment. Ramp that down. And start to once again rediscover everything that's actually going right. And this is a crux of positive psychology as a science. It's all about what enables individuals and communities to thrive. And thriving is about then finding optimal living and an optimal existence. And so, having said that, let's move into a gratitude practice. So I'm going to have everybody just close their eyes. Close your eyes and just begin to turn inward. And as you turn inward, begin to watch your breath. And just notice. Notice your breath. All you need to do right here in this moment is pay attention to your breath and watch your inhales and your exhales. Just be with that breath, which is right here in your present moment, keeping you alive. This is your life force. It's giving you vitality. So simple, and yet such a complex miracle of being alive. So just watch the inhale as your body knows what to do. You can put it on autopilot. You don't have to remember to breathe. That in itself is a miracle. So watch these inhales and exhales as your body takes fresh oxygen in. And then there's a moment of pause. And then you once again expel what's no longer needed. And this cycle keeps going moment to moment. Now, slowly shift your attention from your breath to being mindful of one thing in your life that you're grateful for. It can be anything in your life that you're grateful for, and just focus on that one thing. First thing that comes to mind is usually the best. You don't have to expend too much effort to do this. Just think of one thing that you're grateful for and focus your attention on that. And now, holding that person, place, thing, or other in your mind's eye with all of your attention focused on it, send gratitude to it. Thank it for being a part of your life, whatever it is. From every cell in your body, those trillions of cells, infuse them and your whole being with gratitude. And now to that person, place, thing, or other, say thank you 3 times. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, shift your attention to one thing from today that you're thankful for. So think back before these moments to one thing in your day that you appreciated, that you have gratitude for, that you're thankful for. And holding that in your mind's eye, really focus your attention on it. Feel it. Feel gratitude for it with every fiber of your being. And now again, feel every cell in your body infused with gratitude for that thing. And now, again, say thank you 3 times for that thing from earlier in your day that you're grateful for. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now, think of one thing in this moment, right here, right now, that you're grateful for. It can be your breath. It can be the fact that the room around you feels temperate and comfortable to you. It can be solely that you've got health and vitality and you can feel that. So the absence of any pain or negativity. Whatever you choose in this moment, again, express gratitude from your deepest self, the core of your being, and infuse every cell in your body with that gratitude. And then one more time, in your mind, vocalize that gratitude by saying thank you 3 times and really feel it. Feel your thankfulness, your gratitude for having that in this moment. Now you return your attention to your breath. Breathing in and out, inhales and exhales. And keep your focus there, just on your breath, right here in the present moment. And slowly now bring your awareness back to the room around you, taking the attention away from your breath, allowing your body to do what it does naturally, which is breathe, and so many other systems that keep you alive. Turning away from that, back to the room around you. Let's get ready to rejoin. When you're ready, open your eyes. Come back to the room. Hello all. So it seems like we're having a bit of trouble getting Syreeta on the call. And so what I'm going to try to do, if you'll bear with me, is just try one more time. I've got my team members working on it, but it seems like it's something I've got to do. So let's try this one more time. Just hang out, relax, think about those things that you're grateful for, and I'm going to try to get Syreeta on to talk about the same. Okay, let's see if that works. And in the meantime, let's try to give her a call and see if we can't hook her in that way. I really love technology, except when it doesn't work for me, like in this case. I mean, we are here, but it can get a bit frustrating. And in these moments is when you need your mindfulness practice to serve you the most. So you don't get agitated and you just flow with the wave that is life. Miss Syreeta, this is Pax calling. Good, how are you? Good. So because we can't seem to get you hooked into the Hangout at the moment, I'm calling you and you're live on our Google Hangout by voice. So say hello to everyone.
Hey everyone, how are you? I hope everyone is doing well and having a great day.
So Syreeta, I just finished with our gratitude practice, where I led everyone through 3 things that they're grateful for, beginning with something kind of global in their lives, and then bringing it down to something from the day, earlier in the day, that they were appreciative of, And finally, something right now in this moment that they were grateful for. And, you know, as I mentioned, the reason that I think gratitude is so important is because it does reframe our perspective into what's actually going right as opposed to what's going wrong. And one of the things that I love about your story and your purpose and your mission in life is that you're all about sincerity, right? And gratitude, especially for things that don't apparently seem that they're gifts. And by that I mean these things in life that really challenge us, that that feel hard, that feel upsetting, you know, to say the least. And I know that you're a woman that has been through some things and you've got a perspective on this. So I would love if you would just talk for a few minutes to our viewers about a little bit of your story and your finding your way to gratitude for the things actually in your life that have been the hardest.
Definitely. Well, first, thank you for having me. I got to look at some of the other mindfulness meetups, and you know, they really were beneficial for me. So it's an honor to now be able to be a part of a mindfulness meetup. So I really appreciate that, and everyone who's currently tuning in. You know, thank you all for spending this time with us. I was actually following along. I know we were having technical difficulties, but I was logged in, so I was on the global, you know, I think a lot of people turn the internet, you know, when it comes to research, social media, that kind of thing, but to be able to have such a great digital event, such as the mindfulness meetup, is something that I'm particularly grateful for. As far as today, I just had a really great meeting that helped to refine my focus, my creative focus, and it was a privilege. So I appreciate that. And in this moment, I'm thankful for hope, so that, you know, when things fail with a computer, you always have a backup. As far as my kind of journey, 18 years old, I grew up in a single parent household, although my father was involved in my life. So when I got pregnant at 16, you know, of course there were a lot of naysayers and just a lot of negativity that was spoken into my life. But thankfully there was just as much positivity that was spoken into it. And for that, you know, that really was the first time as a growing adult that I recognized the importance of gratefulness, because I started to see how those positive people really made a difference in how I view myself. You know, saying my story and you know, the minute someone was finding out that I was 16 years old and pregnant, there was automatically, you know, just thoughts and ideas that came along with that, judgments, if you will, that I would end up being a statistic, or that, you know, my life had already kind of been predetermined as a result of that one instance. And it was actually those people who spoke positively into my life, poured into me, that really allowed me to rise above the negativity and focus on my dream. And my dream had always been to become a journalist and to tell stories, you know, to share people's stories and to empower other people. So I went on to graduate from high school a year early. I took a year after that, worked 3 jobs, always wanted to go to Temple University. So I applied. I found out if you have a child or a family or you're a non-traditional student in some way, that they would give you an apartment on campus. And so I got in. I was able to get the apartment, and my daughter, my eldest daughter, who was then about 18 months old, we moved on to Temple campus, and that kind of really started into my becoming an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, life coach, and among other things. So gratefulness for me has always been the one thing that has helped me to center myself and to humble myself for each of the growing processes that I've went through. Thankfully, I was able to graduate from Temple in May of 2012. And not long after that, probably about a year after that, I took a risk and decided to go full-time as an entrepreneur. And I've been doing that ever since. And gratefulness that carried some of those toughest times as an entrepreneur. About a year ago, a little over a year ago at this point, I launched a talk show, a live event talk show. And I actually did that because I was coming out of a dark period in life, and creatively I had been drained, and I was really just looking to kind of breathe new life and purpose. And, my uncle had just passed from brain cancer. That same year, my grandfather passed, probably about 5 months, I think, after him. And then recently this year, my grandmother passed on June 30th. And through each of those times, gratefulness is what lifted me back up. Being grateful for the fact that I even had peacefulness, love in my life. And while each loss was not anything to cope with, I can say that with each one, I became stronger and I was able to better handle it as a result of focusing more on my gratefulness and not my pain. So it's gratefulness that once my grandmother passed, I was able to still look back at that situation and say, wow, I'm thankful I got to go see her, before she passed. I'm thankful that, I got to tell her I love her, that I got to do all of these things. And so gratefulness for me is a part of my daily routine. I need that. It's part of how I maintain my sanity. So I'm just really thankful that that's the thing that we're focusing on today is gratitude.
Thank you so much, Syreeta, for sharing that story. It's very personal, hearing about a young pregnancy, right, at 16. You're a child still yourself. And to bring another child into the world, and having to grow up that quickly. And through that process, what I'm hearing from your story is that there have been some immense challenges. The sequence of deaths in your life of late. And these are sort of some of the hardest challenges that a human being can face. Losing a loved one, bringing a new life into this world and being completely unprepared for it, in a sense. And through it all, what I'm also hearing is that you capitalized on opportunities that came your way. I mean, those were the blessings, and this is the crux of it. When you're in a space of gratitude, you're seeing all of the blessings that are already in your life. You're able then to recognize them when more come to you. And when you're in a space of fear, negativity, then your mind is focused on what's going wrong, right? What there is to be fearful of, all the things that you don't have. And the more that you focus on what you don't have, right, and you put your attention there, and it's just about attention. You put your attention in those directions, then you're missing out on what you actually have happening around you. So, for example, at Temple, if you had been in this space of, I can't, lack, this is not the kind of situation that's conducive to a young mother with an 18-month-old, you wouldn't have recognized that, doing a little research, you found out that they had housing that would accommodate you. I mean, how beautiful is that? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really, because of that, I was able to not only just get my education, but to also be a catalyst for others and be an advocate for others. During my time at Temple, and let me just say, it was no walk in the park. There were times where, I most certainly wanted to give up. I wanted to quit. I was there. I ended up having to go on welfare and go on these different government assistance programs because I wasn't able to work full time. I was handling a full class load in addition to working multiple part-time jobs. I didn't have any family in the city. So it definitely wasn't no easy feat. I think what kept me going was the fact that I spoke to it a little earlier when you spoke about fight or flight, and that was that moment where the fight came out, and since my back was against the wall, and my back being against the wall, it wasn't that's where my focus was not about the pain. In a sense, it was like I had to numb that part of myself and say, okay, it's not about the pain right now. It's about the long-term goal. It's about the gratefulness. It's about the blessings that are here. It's about the opportunity that still exists in this day. Now, of course, as I got older, I learned that it's not necessarily that you have to numb the pain, but rather you accept the pain. And not only that, but you accept it, you internalize it, and you use that as fuel to continue living your purpose and living it more strongly. So now, even when I speak about pain or when I speak about struggle, I'm able to do it from an empowered standpoint. I don't fear pain anymore. I don't fear that things are out of my control. it's just a whole nother perspective on life, and it comes from a place of gratitude. It comes from accepting that if there's something, any kind of challenge that is happening in your life, it's not there to harm you. It's actually there to empower you. It's actually there to perfect a side of you that needs some more conditioning. You know, it's like working out a muscle, as some would say. And so that's where the gratitude has allowed me to accept that when challenges come, it's simply me having to go to the gym to develop, you know, whatever this situation was put here to help me do.
So, Syreeta, I love that notion. I think that is so important for people to understand. I'll repeat that just for the sake of underscoring the point. You know, these experiences of pain are in fact our greatest teachers, and we are conditioned, and we condition our children, you know, and those around us to not feel pain or to think that it's not okay. So, you know, a child will come home crying about an incident, and we want to alleviate that pain for them, and that's natural. You know, we want to say, okay, this is happening. What can I do to take it away? And that's very important, because we need to start to understand how to reframe that. You know, that pain is in fact one of our greatest teachers. It's one of the most salient teachers. You know, we remember painful moments more than we remember like sort of the joyful ones, because they stick. And if we learn how to embrace them the right way and not reject them, not defy them, then we're in really good stead to optimize our flourishing. And the reason is because, you know, those painful moments are the growth experiences. They're what really catapult us into a new level of learning and growth. So I'm curious to hear from you about an experience in your life that was one of the hardest, and how that represented to you one of the sort of most flourishing moments.
I would have to say one of the hardest moments in my life, it actually was the passing of my goddaughter. She passed November 17th of 2013. And the story behind how she even became my goddaughter is, I think, at one point, something that actually added to the pain. I had went to speak at Germantown High School. Just to, you know, I go to a lot of different schools, always sharing my story, and you know, of course, doing some motivational speaking. And I was there after I shared about my life. There was a young woman who came up to me. She was very pregnant, but she came up. She was in tears, and you know, she just, first thing she said was just, "I'm tired. I can't do this anymore." And so she went on to tell me a little bit about her story. She was pregnant with twins. She had just got kicked out of her aunt's house. She had been in and out of foster care. She had just found out that one of the twins had passed. And so she would end up having to deliver both. And, you know, she was just going through a really tough time, and she already had a daughter who had a kidney issue. And so she and I became very close. I went on to put on a community baby shower for her. I was there at her graduation. When the baby was born, I think I had just got in from out of town, and, you know, took her to the hospital. I was there by her side. You know, I saw baby born. I was right there by her side. And then 5 months later, her name is Mariah. She passed the state. And before the day she actually passed, she had been in the hospital for some time, and I was up there constantly with her mother. You know, we're praying, and her mother's up and down, and the family is up and down emotionally. And it was definitely a time where I had never been in a situation like that. You know, I had had my uncle pass, but it's totally different when it's a child. You know, when it's a baby, an infant, who you're seeing hooked up to these machines and really fighting for her life. And so, you know, I was there sitting through every meeting with the doctor, every meeting with the counselor, the pastors, and that day came where, you know, her mother had to make that decision, and stood by her side, and her mother had to be, you know, holding Mariah in her hands. And, you know, to watch an infant pass away, and even to this day I still get emotional when thinking about it, but to watch an infant pass away, there are no words to describe what that does to your soul. It's just, you never forget that, especially the mental image And even during that time, I stayed in prayer a lot. You know, I stuck by her mom's side and just tried to be the rock that she needed. But after it happened, I couldn't get out of bed for days. I didn't want to get out of bed. I literally stayed in bed. I had a Bible by me. I had my journal by me and a bunch of tissues, and it really was just nonstop crying. And so trying to get up from that moment was the hardest thing for me to do. Not only because I had, you know, gained this emotional attachment to the family, but it even, you know, had raised some questions within myself where I, you know, like, why did this happen? You know, why? That's always the question, you know, when you go through something tough. It's just, why did this happen? And so it took some time to really process through it. But what I eventually was able to become grateful for was the fact that I could be there for her mother, that I was strong enough, and that was strength that I didn't know that I possessed, to be able to see a mother through that kind of pain, and to be able to guide her through it so that even she was able to still see hope, you know, that she didn't let that situation destroy her soul or, you know, leave her with this, you know, this bitterness to life. She still had another child to live for. She still had so much life ahead of her. She was only 18, 19 years old. So I would say that was definitely one of the hardest moments. But now looking back, one of the moments that I'm most grateful for, because, you know, in my mind, if you can face death in that kind of way, then imagine what you could do facing life. You know, imagine what you can overcome facing life. And so,
absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know, what I'm hearing from you is that, in fact, this most fundamentally horrible, grief-stricken situation, a child dying, you know, that's pretty much the worst thing I can think of happening. And it happened. And, you know, what we can see from that is that it's an opportunity, that one life, that young life, is an opportunity to invite that much more love in, right? So through the process of that grief, that mother's grief, and everybody around her that cares for that child and has love for that family, they all come together in amplified love. And that's the thing, you know, it's so hard. Pause for a second. We're trying like a little technology buffet. So, you know, join me in this. Hey, Miss Syreeta. So let's see if I can turn this around. Technology buffet style. There's Syreeta. You know, I mean, in this world of gadgetry and technology, which drives us a little crazy, as I was mentioning earlier, we also have so many options to connect and figure out how we're going to literally FaceTime or hear each other's voices and connect over space and time zones. And so it's a beautiful thing. So hello, honey, you're so beautiful. And it's so good to see your face. And in fact, speaking of gratitude, right? It's so lovely how first I didn't have your voice. You had mine. I didn't have yours, and neither did our audience. And then we had your voice, and I was so grateful for that. I'm like, oh, we've got her. This is beautiful. And we were hearing your words and hearing your emotion through your words and your story through your words. And now we've got your beautiful face. So gratitude.
Right. It all works out.
It all works out. So, and this is an interesting one I haven't done before, kind of like reverb, back off the screen and talking to you through it. This is cool.
Right.
So it tests my boundaries too, and my ability to multitask. And because I'm a practitioner of mindfulness, I know that I will triumph. So, you know, what we were just speaking about was this idea that the most horrifying moments in life can be opportunities actually to invite that much more love in. And we've seen this, you know, over time and all of the events in our world, more so, the more it seems that the planet is in this tidal shift, you know, where things are getting very heated, and we have events like 9/11, you know, and what have you, which really test our humanity. And in the face of such aggression, we have such amplified love. It's almost like we need those incidents to remind ourselves of what's really important, and that's our humanity, that's our love for each other. But until that moment, had anyone really banded together like that in New York City? You know, and then there were t-shirts, and there was appreciation for our firemen and our police force, you know, and these are amazing, amazing benefits. So if we can take something out of what you just said, and of every adverse event that happens in our lives, it is that. And beyond that, you know, something that always used to strike me as very counterintuitive and strange was the idea of, oh, phone's blowing up. Okay, was the idea of loving kindness meditation. Loving kindness meditation is a form of meditation that is taught in Zen Buddhism, and it's a meditation which we're about to practice, and I'll lead everyone through. But to just explain a little bit of why and what it's about, it's a form of meditation where you really send love, focused love, to various people in your life. And it was fine when it was described as choose someone in your life that you love, you know, that you have strong love for, family member, close friend, and put them in your heart, in your mind's eye, and send them love and wish them well. And then, okay, pick a stranger, someone that you don't really know that well, and send them love. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. It's a weird notion for me to send love to someone that I don't really know that well, but okay, I'll indulge it. What really kind of got me was now send love to somebody that you consider an enemy, somebody that you feel hostility toward, you know, anger toward. And wrapping my heart around that one was really tricky. The more I did it, the more I ramped up the love and couldn't even connect to the aggression or hostility. And what I think is interesting about what you just said, and about this idea of embracing the experiences in your life that are the most painful, that includes the people in your life that are the most painful, the people that send you pain, anger, aggression, whatever it is, these negative emotions, and to embrace them in love. And beyond that, appreciate them as your greatest teachers is, I think, a huge part of our spiritual evolution. So with that said, Miss Syreeta joined me in practicing a little loving kindness meditation. So I'll have everybody just close your eyes again, turn inward, and as we did before, just be inside yourself and focus on your breath. Watching your inhales and your exhales. Allowing this life force, this breath that's with you each moment, every day, to just carry you in this space of stillness inside you, this place of deep inner calm. And that's all you need to do right now. It's the only place you need to be, is right here in the present moment, just focusing on your breath. Allowing the inhale and that fresh oxygen to come into every cell of your being and feed it and nourish it. And then allowing and appreciating the exhale as you breathe it all out, anything that no longer serves you. Breathing in love, joy, compassion, health. Breathing out toxins, stress, anxiety. And now, focus your attention on one person in your life who you love. First person that comes to mind, who you feel love for. Anybody in your life. It could even be a pet. A being that you love, that you have very strong feelings for, that you care about. Put them in your mind's eye. Really see that being. And then, with every cell in your body, in the very core of your being, send love to that being. Being to being, just send them all the love that you can muster. and be with that love. Be in that love right now and share all the love that you have inside you with that being. And now wish them health. And in your mind, you can say, I wish you health. Wish them happiness. In your mind, you can say, I wish you happiness. And then wish them well-being. I wish you well-being. And now, letting the image of that person just float away like a cloud. They're still with you. Just allow yourself to release your hold, your love on that being. And now focus your attention on one person in your world that you consider a stranger. Maybe it's a barista at the coffee shop where you go. You don't really know them. You may see them on occasion. But relatively speaking, they're a stranger to you. And now really focus the image of that person, that being in your mind, and send them love from the core of your being, just as you did with that person in your world that you consider a person that you really love. Do the same now for this person who you consider a relative stranger. With every cell in your being, all trillion cells, from the deepest part of you, send that person love. Enshroud them in love. Project that love onto them, into them, and be with them for just a moment in that love. And now, send them kindness. In your own words, in your own mind, wish them health, well-being, flourishing, and joy. And really focus on that person and on that love. If you hear noises in your environment, smells, dinner, other things that might distract you, just try to keep your mind and your heart focused on this practice. Now releasing that being like a cloud, let it float away, keep them with you, but bringing them out of your mind space now to focus one more time on a person in your life that brings you adversity, a difficult person, somebody that you may have conflict with, that you may spar with, that provides problems, difficulties for you. Bring that person into your mind's eye. And now again, just as you did the previous 2 times, bring that same love to this person in your life that's difficult. With every cell in your being, from the very depths of you, from your heart, send that person love. Envelop them in it, enshroud them in it, connect to them through it, that love. And now, just as you did before, with all of the sincerity and authenticity that you can muster, wish them well, wish them joy, vitality, health, and well-being. And now releasing that person from your mind's eye. Let that float away. Come back to your breath. And just observe your breath for 2 or 3 more cycles. Inhale and exhale. And just be completely with yourself and these feelings of love in this moment. Watching your breath. And now get ready to just come back to the room, opening your eyes as and when you're ready. Joining us back here on our Google Hangout. and our cell phones and our FaceTime, our technology buffet. So, Syreeta, you may have picked up on one of the last words that I said, which was sincerity. And that's your moniker. It's Sincerely Syreeta. So I want to just hear from you for a minute or two on how you found that practice and how difficult or easy it was for you to sincerely send love to a person in your world that you wouldn't consider saying that you loved. In fact, that you might use a much stronger word like hate for.
Well, I felt like the exercise was definitely useful. I've had some challenging situations lately with people that I love dearly, and it's definitely been a daily process to get back to that, to putting my focus back on, despite what's going on with the challenges between myself and these people. I love them. Just always having to refocus it after any kind of tense encounter that we may have, or any encounter where it feels like the love isn't necessarily being reciprocated. Holding myself accountable for still having to be responsible for being a force of love, even in the face of negativity. So this particular exercise was that opportunity to yet again be reminded of the importance of being a force of love, even in the face of negativity or challenges within our personal relationships. So it wasn't hard to picture them. When I first pictured them, I felt my body tense up. I felt my mind try to go to these different memories of us kind of going back and forth, and some of the things that were said. But I had to kind of push through the memory and focus on this person's importance in my life, and the fact that I wouldn't feel so deeply, or maybe I wouldn't be hurt so deeply if it wasn't for the fact that I didn't love them as deeply as I do. And so it really just gave me an opportunity to kind of regroup myself and my spirit, and that's
okay, so that's a cool idea, right?
Yeah.
Hashtag nailed it. That is a cool idea. The idea that, in fact, if we're that hurt or bothered or angry or hostile, it's because we care. And when you access that care, that love, and this is why the progression of the loving kindness is as such. When you can access easily love for someone you do love, and then you can bring it to a stranger, you can then make the leap to bringing it to somebody that really challenges you. And when you can do that, you've got sort of a blanketed love now that you're bringing to the world. And that energy is what people feed off of. It's what our world needs so much more of, and it's our task. It's kind of a part of our spiritual evolution to be able to bring love exactly in those moments when it's hardest, when you're challenged the most around it. So I want to hear just for a minute or two from you before we do one final practice and then do some takeaways to round out the hour for our viewers. Why Sincerely, Syreeta?
Sincerely, the whole sincerely aspect of things really came because in any and everything that I do, whether business or personal, if I'm doing it and I'm putting my energy into it, it's because I want to. It's because it feels organic and authentic to my soul. And so growing up, one of the things that I really tussled with was always feeling like I was misunderstood. Okay, so I look a certain way, and so people would automatically.
What, beautiful? Anyway.
I mean, everybody may not feel that way, but it definitely early on it caused issues. People would make their own. They would have their own assumptions long before I ever got a chance to show them who I was, and that frustrated me. It made me definitely appreciate being more in the background and not being so out there in front of people with which is interesting because now I'm a media personality and I'm a talk show host and I'm a freelance journalist. I'm everywhere in front of a camera, or on the internet. But my biggest fear before taking this route was that I would be misunderstood. And so I wanted the name that I was going to be recognized by to reflect that any and everything that I was doing or would set out to do was from the most authentic place of my heart and soul. And so authentic Syreeta didn't work well. It didn't have as much of a ring to it. But sincerely.
It's alliterative. I like it.
Yeah, and it struck a chord with me. I'm a journalist, so I'm always, I'm very quick to examine the definition of a word and its origins and that kind of thing.
Heard. I love me a good word.
And so when I looked up sincerely, and I saw the definition and I said, this is who I am. Sincerity is very important to me, and because empathy is such a large part of my character and who I am, the two just kind of tie together for me. So yes, it's sincerely Syreeta, with three main goals or focuses on empathizing with the journeys of others, empowering them along the way so that they can evolve, which the t-shirt says, evolve into their best selves and their best life. And so for me, sincerely was just the perfect umbrella to really walk through life on. It's just a sincere approach in everything that I do.
I love the word. It encompasses you completely. And, the journalism piece of it, we share that background. So, as you know, I was a news anchor for some time. And the one thing that struck me, and one of the main reasons why I left that world to come back to Penn to do my graduate school in positive psychology, which is sort of as real as it gets, and as sincere and as authentic, is because that piece was missing for me. I felt like what I was crafting as far as news stories goes, right, and what I was actually putting out there, this talking head, giving people the news, was this cherry-picked, sensationalized version of what's actually going on the planet. And effectively what that was doing was taking the worst of humanity, condensing it into like half an hour, and off I go giving this to the masses. And that didn't feel authentic to me, Even though all of that might be true, the way it was being delivered made people feel like that was all their world was about. And now, I completely resonate with what you said, with being sincere in journalism, and being a face and a voice for news, whatever that news may be, because what we're doing right now is sharing news too, information with our viewers. And we have a sense of responsibility to be authentic and sincere about what we're giving out. And if we're trying to spread love and perpetuate love, then, only teaching people and telling them about what sells, which may be sex, or it may be scandal, or it may be whatever it is, that causes negative emotions in someone, we have to consider that carefully. And I think that's a most beautiful note to end on. I know I said we might have time for one more meditation practice, but we're almost at the end of the hour. And so that's a little teaser for you guys. You're just going to have to join us again next month, hook in for that body scan meditation, which is a crowd favorite. So I promise I will do that one next time. And in the last minute or two that we have, I would love, Syreeta, for you to just give us a couple of takeaways for our viewers, things from either the call or in life that you feel are important to share in this last couple of minutes.
I guess if anything, I would love for people to make sure that however often as you can, and I would say at least try your best to aim for once a day. Really make sure you're taking that time to step away from your not necessarily your responsibilities, but to step away from all of the to-do lists, all of the expectations that people have for you, all of those things. At the end of the day, find some time to be able to step back and look at yourself and review your day and ask if you're proud of yourself today. Am I proud of the vibes that I sent out? Am I proud of the attitude that I maintained today? Am I proud of what I was able to accomplish? Did I do my best job of staying authentic to myself in each and every moment in the face of challenges? Get used to having an ongoing conversation with yourself, an accountability. I'm getting tongue-tied.
Accountability. We know. We got you.
Yeah, accountability focused conversation with yourself. Because I think the reason I find that most important is that if you're not willing to hold yourself accountable for your own actions, for your own happiness, for the direction that you're headed in on a day-to-day basis in your life, you can't expect for other people to do that for themselves or for you. You know, you kind of got to take that step in the universe and say, this is what I am, this is what I'm looking to receive back. And, you know, oftentimes they'll say, people learn how to love you by looking at how you love yourself.
This is so beautiful. That hashtag that, people. Hashtag that statement, because that is perfect.
It's true.
It's true. The energy that you are is what you attract, right? And so, you know, I spent some time with Deepak Chopra a little while ago, and someone asked him, you know, how do I attract the perfect partner? How do I attract this love that I'm looking for? And he said, think of every quality in the person that you're looking for, and then become that, and you will magnetize it. And it is true. You know, and I love the accountability piece. We have to be energies in our system that we want more of, you know, and it really starts in here. And so I think that is the most compelling, perfect takeaway. And I will just add to that for everyone. I hope you were taking notes, because that right there, hashtag golden nuggets. And I will just add to that, you know, we did go through a gratitude practice, whether it's daily journaling or whether you're just meditating upon 3 things that you're grateful for. Incorporate this into your daily life. It will reframe your perspective. It will start to shift things. You will notice it almost immediately. We do have to do this for our minds and our bodies and our souls in order to start coming back around to how much wealth and gifts we do have in our lives versus what we don't have. And that's a fear-based model. We need to move out of that. And then beyond that, you know, that can be your meditation every day, but a daily meditation practice, like Syreeta is saying, like I continue to say, and the reason why we continue to practice is because it's so important to tune in, to take stock, to see who you really are, what the essence of you is, and then to be that out there in the world, you know, and you'll discover it is love ultimately and compassion. And to be that energy is what it's really about. So I want to thank everybody for joining us on the call tonight. We hope that you've evolved from it, that you've grown from it, that you've taken something valuable away from it. I look forward to seeing you again on the next one. Thank you again to Miss Syreeta, sincerely Syreeta Martin, for joining us. I am so grateful for all of the technology that I got to avail of today. How cool is that? Kept me on my toes like you wouldn't believe. And certainly that mindfulness is serving me now. So there you go. That's another takeaway for you. Practice your mindfulness. Miss Syreeta, thank you so much again. You are a force, a beautiful being, and we just so appreciated having your energy on the call tonight. I will see you all again really soon. I'm Pax Tandon signing off for now. Thanks so much for being here.